course, Star Wars Celebration was going on this past weekend, and a lot of big news that I'm sure will get retconned in the next few months. But one of the things that came out, they talked a lot of Indiana Jones, and we got a runtime for Indiana Jones. Now, apparently, Kathleen Kennedy was saying that the runtime for Indiana Jones is going to be around 2 hours and 22 minutes. And she said, maybe it's all the television that we're doing and the long form storytelling that we're doing that is making us have these movies be a little bit longer. And I go, really? Long form storytelling? Because I saw Obi-Wan Kenobi and I have seen not one, but two different fan edits where two different individuals took the entire series and edited it down to like a 2.5, 2 hour and 45, one of them pushing 3 hours movie were so much shorter than the show was, that was 10 times better than the show. So I don't know if that's the case here. But this last one, it is the final one, at least the one with Harrison Ford is the final one. It is going to be the longest of the franchise so far. Now, to give us a little bit of context about the length of this movie being 2 hours and 22 minutes, here's what the length of these Indiana Jones movies have been so far. So when we go back to Raiders of the Lost Ark, that first movie was 1 hour and 55. They've all come in very, very close to each other. I think the first four movies have all been within 12 minutes of each other. So Raiders at 1 hour and 55 minutes, Temple of Doom at 1 hour and 58 minutes, The Last Crusade, the best Indiana Jones movie, at 2 hours and 7 minutes, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull at 2 hours and 2 minutes, and now this one, Dial of Destiny, coming in at 2 hours and 22 minutes, or about 15 minutes longer than the previous one before that. So I've already seen a lot of discussion online this morning over those 15 minutes. Like, what does it mean? The importance of it being this much longer. And to a degree, I think Kathleen Kennedy's actually right. Like, we're seeing a lot of these bigger blockbuster epic kind of movies starting to get a little bit longer runtime, sometimes for good, sometimes for not so good, but whatever. I think the fact of the matter that this will be Harrison Ford's last go. And quite frankly, we don't know a ton about the movie, but just from what we've seen in the trailers, it seems like they've got a lot to cover. It seems like they have a lot of story to cover, especially with Mads Mikkelsen being in there. Oh, he was like just like born to play an Indiana Jones villain. The only thing that would have been better is if Christoph Waltz was like his co-villain in this movie. I would have eaten that up. But you know, so it kind of makes sense to me. And it's not that big of a stretch. It's not like we're talking, she came out and said, oh, this one's going to push 3 hours, which I don't think Harrison Ford would stay awake for to do the whole thing.
Neither would Ray.
Neither would Ray. Ray would take a pass on the movie.
Do not get me an advance ticket to this.
So, I mean, so again, it kind of falls in. It does end up, when you go back to the first Raiders of the Lost Ark, it does end up being 27 minutes longer than the first one, but still, it's not that big of a gap. So I don't see it as that big of an issue or that big of a deal. I think, again, it being the final chapter for Harrison Ford, the fact that they have so much story to cover here, I think that dials it in at 222 minutes. And honestly, for a big blockbuster film, like what they're hoping Indiana 5 will be, a little short of 2.5 hours, I think is a perfectly good runtime. Anyway, Chris, you heard about the runtime for this. What do you make of it?
I mean, he's 80. He's got to take a few more steps. It's going to take that extra 15 minutes. I think if this is his swan song, it makes sense, right? We're getting a new character introduced, first of all, a new dynamic there, his goddaughter with Phoebe Waller-Bridge. And we're going to learn more about Indy's past, this thing he's been searching for his whole life. This is the end of his story. We are talking more about his age in this one. That's what he's talked about a lot in interviews of, you know, winding down and like maybe not being the adventurer he used to be and grappling with all of that. There's a lot of stuff to deal with in this movie. So if we're going to take an extra 15 minutes to do it, I don't really mind it, so long as it's executed well, right? That's what it always comes down to. Things can feel like they're really, really bloated if it's just not good storytelling. So hopefully this is just really nice. It feels like a good runtime. We're going to have a lot of action. We're going to have a lot of heart. And if not, you know, hopefully this is better than Crystal Skull.
Well,
that's kind of where I'm at.
It's James Mangold. I still have a lot of hope. And Taylor, you can look this up for me, but I believe, I'm sure I'm going to be off by a couple of years. This is still the fact, and we've talked about this a lot, but this one still always staggers me a bit. To put it in context, Harrison Ford in this movie, I believe, will be 15 years older than Sean Connery was.
Yep.
When he played Indy's dad in The Last Crusade. So give me check me on my number there, but I think Sean Connery
was 56.
Oh, I take it back. He's like 23, 24 years
Harrison
older
Ford is 80.
than Sean Connery was in that. Okay. I mean, that's yeah, I mean, that just kind of really stunningly puts it in context for you. Whatever. I'm still really excited about this movie. I can't wait to see it. Guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this, about the runtime for this brand new Indiana Jones film? It's going to be the longest Indiana Jones film we've ever had, not by a lot. Do you think it's significant? Do you think it's not so significant? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Guys, we want to take a minute and thank the sponsor of today's video, Fume. Listen, cold turkey may be great on sandwiches, but there is a better way to break your habits. And we're not talking about some weird mind voodoo from your crazy neighbor or putting Vaseline on your feet under your socks. No, we're talking about our sponsor, Fume, and they look at the problem in a different way. Not everything in a bad habit is wrong, so instead of a drastic, uncomfortable change, why not just remove the bad from your habit? And Fume is an innovative, award-winning device that does just that. Instead of electronics, Fume's is completely natural. Instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air, and instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses all-natural, delicious flavors. Your Fume comes with an adjustable airflow dial and is designed with movable parts and magnets for fidgeting, giving your fingers a lot to do, which is helpful for de-stressing and anxiety while breaking your habit. When I first got my Fume, I couldn't believe how beautiful the design was. It's perfectly weighted, and when I breathed it in the first time, I was blown away by just how fresh it tasted. Fume has served over 100,000 customers and has thousands of success stories, and there's no reason that can't be you. Join Fume in accelerating humanity's breakup from destructive habits by picking up the Journey Pack today. Head to tryfume.com and use the code Campea to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. That's tryfum.com and use the code Campea to save an additional 10% off your order today.